Without objection, we will now proceed under the 5-minute rule with questions, and I will now recognize the gentlelady from Wyoming for 5 minutes.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. We appreciate you joining us here for this important discussion. The intended effect of SPLC's hate map is clear. By lumping mainstream conservative voices and organization in with actual Nazis and extremists, the SPLC delegitimizes any opinion to the right of whatever line the SPLC deems acceptable. Richard Cohen, the former president of the SPLC, when discussing whether Antifa would be listed, was quoted as saying that, quote, "There might be forms of hate out there that you may consider hateful, but it's not the type of hate we follow," end quote. In June 2020, the SPLC published an analysis stating that designating Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization is dangerous and threatens civil liberties. Let that sink in. According to the Southern Poverty Law Center's website, its hate data list for 2024 includes 1,371 groups, up from 599 in the year 2000. Some of the groups listed include what we should expect: neo-Nazis, the KKK, and others. However, this list lumps in countless conservative advocacy organizations, including Alliance for Defending Freedom, Moms for Liberty, Parents Defending Education, Turning Point USA, and the Family Research Council. Now, Mr. Cipher and Mr. Perkins, you have both testified about the impact and the consequences of the SPLC designating your organizations as hate groups. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Perkins. Could you briefly describe or list off any of the commonly held conservative beliefs that would lead the SPLC to classify your organization as a hate group?
According to the SPLC, the reason is our biblical view of marriage and human sexuality. That is what causes them to classify us as a hate group.
And as a result, then you had the incident that you described during your testimony earlier. They actually put a target on your back, didn't they, Mr. Perkins?
Correct. If you'll recall, back in 2012, there was a Chick-fil-A day where nationwide people went to Chick-fil-A because Chick-fil-A at the time had made a statement in support of natural marriage. And because we, along with then Governor Mike Huckabee, now Ambassador Huckabee, had promoted that day, Corkins went to the map of SPLC to find FRC, and he targeted us. It was also, when he was arrested, he had a list in his pocket which had actually a couple of more Washington, D.C. based organizations coming from the SPLC map.
Okay. Mr. Cipher, can you describe some of the beliefs of Turning Point USA that would warrant a listing as a hate group by the SPLC?
For the record, none. We have 3 core beliefs at Turning Point USA. Charlie would always state them. 1, that the Constitution is the greatest document to ever be written. 2nd is that the USA is the greatest country to exist in this world. And lastly, that capitalism is the greatest economic system to lift people out of poverty.
And as a result of those 3 core beliefs, SPLC has designated you as a hate group. Is that fair?
Not at all.
That's right. While there is no doubt that these designations can have a significant impact not only on the reputation and operation of listed organizations, tying them to the entities that are truly responsible for hateful acts and violence, it actually inflames tensions and threatens individual safety, as you've both described. One point that sticks out to me when looking through the center's hate data is that very few, if any, left-wing extremist organizations and activities show up. To hone in on one of the more well-known examples, Antifa is conspicuously absent, despite the SPLC's specifically maintaining categories for anti-government extremist groups and general hate. In a more recent example, the SPLC failed to specifically condemn the violent actors endangering Jewish students at American universities following the horrific October 17th attack carried out by Hamas and supported by radical Islamists, including many right here in the United States of America. Mr. O'Neill, could you briefly provide some insights on why they would exclude Antifa, pro-Palestinian, and pro-Hamas organizations on American campuses, Jane's Revenge, and other left-wing extremist groups from their hate data framework?
They have ties to some of these organizations, particularly with Antifa. They hired a woman who was described as Antifa's secret weapon, a researcher. When it comes to, I can't speak to exactly why they don't, but what I can say is it is an absolute travesty that they will put organizations like Turning Point USA and Moms for Liberty as anti-government extremist groups comparable to the Klan in their view, and then not put actual groups that are hurling Molotov cocktails at government buildings.
I think that you make a very good point, and I'm out of time. I yield back. Thank you all for being here today.
I thank the gentlelady from Wyoming for her questions. I'll now recognize the ranking member, the gentleman from Maryland, Mr. Raskin, for